I love the One Piece trading card game, and I love to spend money on this game efficiently. Buying singles for your deck has always been the most cost-effective way of building a deck, but in this challenge, we throw that all away. Each week, I use a budget of $30 to open sealed product in the hopes of adding new cards to our deck. But since we can only play cards in our color, any cards we can't use, we can trade away. And there are additional buffs locked behind certain challenges. Join me in my journey as I rise up to become the King of the Pirates. You're watching One Piece from Scratch. Welcome back, Pirates, to another episode of One Piece from Scratch. As you may already know, there is a ban list slated to release in March, with Black being at the forefront of the meta for a few sets now, especially with Luffy. We might run into some issues, but perhaps not as many issues compared to some other decks like Lucci and Blackbeard especially as we're going into OP10. I think it's going to be really exciting to see how this ban list shakes up the meta, and, crackpot One Piece theory incoming, shoot our smoker leader into the upper echelons of the meta. I'll go into a little bit more detail on how I think the ban list is going to impact our deck specifically in the deck list portion of this video. But on another note, we've already made it to episode 18. Yeah, time really flies, and alongside that, our sub count has also been steadily rising too. Don't forget that we also have some bounties tied to our sub count, so make sure you join the crew and sub to the channel. I'll save the rest of the spiel for the outro, but for now, let's rip some packs. Alright, I've got a pretty cool opening for us today, and we're going to be taking a break from that OP09 box, and instead, we're going to hit some double packs. So why is this kind of cool? Well, every double pack comes with a Hollow Dawn, so that means when we finally get that last Dawn that we need, the Hollow Dawn that we need to complete the bounty, that means we can get a Flame Fruit for 15 bucks. We are also going to be utilizing our extra $15 budget from our Cypher bounty, the one I believe it was pull 5 alt art cards, and we're just going to use it immediately. So, is that even in frame? Okay. Alright, so yeah, we've got a pretty stacked opening of just weird products that we haven't really touched yet on the channel. Well, I guess we did touch a Devil Fruit collection already, but yeah, so is it technically bending the rules that we're getting the last Dawn we need in the opening and then using that budget, or using that reward? I don't know, but regardless, we are going to be opening 3 double packs of OP09. I completely forgot what the Dawn is in this. I think there's a Blackbeard in there, so hopefully that's going to look really nice. And of course, we're also going to have the dip into some OP08. I've had this for a while, we just haven't been able to get the bounty done on this, so yeah, that'll be pretty cool. Oh yeah, I guess that also means we do get this nice Ace Fruit sleeve, so we'll get a new upgrade to our sleeves. These do come with a lot of wrapping, which I don't know if it's really all that necessary. I can go on a whole rant about recyclability and one-time use plastics, but we can save that for another time. Let's just get these out of the boxes for now. Alright, boom, out of those useless bits of plastic. Now let's see what every double pack comes with. It does come with 2 packs of whatever corresponding set and a Dawn card. So, you got like a little box. Are we going to use this ever? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe we'll like throw cards specific to a leader for like an off meta in each one of these, and then we'll just eventually stack enough to where, you know, we've got decks set aside. But let's get this out of the way. We're going to open our Dawn so we can officially claim our Devil Fruit, and we'll unbox that as well. And our Dawn from the first one is going to be the Blackbeard Dawn. Yeah, you could like barely tell that's holographic, but there is a little bit of hollow foil on there and some texturing. So there we go. And now that means we can officially claim our Ace Fruit. Plastic off. So what comes in one of these Flame Fruits? We get a few packs of some very bent OP8s, but as long as the cards in there are perfectly fine, then we don't really mind all too much. And of course we get the Ace Dawn, which is very nice. And as well the sleeves, which we will definitely be using. I do like these quite a bit. We didn't get the one with Ace and his little fruit in the middle, but I think these are really nice. So it's going to be a nice little visual upgrade to see boom right there whenever we've got our Dawn set aside there. So let's get the rest of this open. We've got actually a lot of cool stuff, you know. We got 4 new Dawn, so boom, and a whole lot of packs. I guess that comes with, you know, just completing bounties, which is always nice. A little extra reward for doing some extra little challenges off to the side. So we've got 9 packs total, which is the most we've ever opened on a single episode. And we do still have 2 more Dawn packs. Yeah, let's just hit these Dawn real fast. We got another Blackbeard Dawn. So we're really building out this Blackbeard Dawn arsenal. Hopefully we can get the other one just so we can see what it is. And it is, oh, a Buggy Dawn. That is really nice. So maybe we'll play these, maybe we'll trade them off. But either way, these are some pretty nice Dawn cards that we now have in our arsenal. And of course, we already saw this one. This one's very nice. I do like the texturing on this one. And I guess we could always get another Dawn card from these packs, which is, could have 5 Hollow Dawn in one episode. That would be kind of crazy. Oop, that's not how I usually open these packs. Speedjill, Mushuru, Charlotte Cracker, Miyagi, Roddy, Kuromamiro, Ulti, Scratchman Apu, Lapins, Carrot Leader, S-Hawk, and Page 1. So if we ever revisit the Page 1 Ulti combo, boom, we got another Page 1 and Ulti both in those packs. I don't know if we already had the Carrot Leader. I'll have to check the leader binder after, but that might be a new leader. I'm not too sure. I'm pretty sure we're closing in, if not already have all the leaders in OP9. Can't exactly remember, but yeah, maybe we should turn that into a bounty. Like, collect all the leaders from a set. What do you guys think? We got Beppo, Alvo, Pizarro, Sanji, Full Lead, Nobody Hurts a Friend of Mine, Kazoki Oden, Jinbei, Monster, John Bart, Hongo, Gum Gum Quarto, Jet Shock Bazooka, first time, boom, let's go. And we have Mr. 3 Galdino at number 3 out of 9. Again, just 9 packs in one episode compared to when we're just like usually only got 6. Feels really crazy. Alright, Thousand Sunny, Gecko Moria, Beppo, Alvo Pizarro, Jinbei, Black Vortex, Jozu, Thunderlance Flip Caliber Phoenix Shot, another Odyssey event that I got in one take, Kabaji, Nico Robin, Doc Q, and Gum Gum Quarto Jet Cross Shock Bazooka. Almost got it on that one. Yeah, coming back to OP08, we haven't touched that since what, like the start of the series, which is pretty cool that we're just seeing new cards again. Jin Rummy, Chess, Charlotte Parasparrow, Charlotte Angel, Candy Maiden, Maria Onion Bear. We'd never sell it at. Oh my gosh, it's always green events, and I can never say them in one take. We would never sell an enemy. We would never sell a comrade to an enemy. Iron Body Fang Flash, Thatch. We got the Marco Leader. I think we've already had this. Waffle for Waffle House, and we've got Imperial Flame. So some more Black Purple King stuff. I don't know if that deck even wants to run that. I'll do a little bit more research if we do pick that deck back up for an off meta. We got Sanji, Full Lead, Morley, Nico Oliva, Kazoki Oden, Brooke, Rockstar, Karasu, Tony Chopper, Kuma, Kuzan, and Adio, our first SR. So yeah, we're already a little over halfway and only one SR. Alright, next pack. We've got a Morley, Nico Oliva, Howling Gab, Daz Bones, Black Vortex, Rob Lucci, Brooke, Katarina Devon, Eustace Captain Kid, Thunderlance Flip Caliber Phoenix Shot, almost messed it up at the end, Trafalgar Law, pretty cool. And we have Frankie. As soon as I start complaining about the SRs, that's when they start picking up. That's a reminder to everyone, if you don't get what you want in life, start complaining. That is not actual life advice, please don't ever follow that. We've got Guernica, Buckin, Biscuit Warrior, Caligara, Burn Bazooka, Basil Hawkins, Count Niwatori, It's been a while since I've seen that one. Consulate, Phoenix Brand, Mont Blanc Nolan, and an alt 10 cost Newgate. Not the most expensive card in the world because it doesn't see a whole lot of play, but the fact that we got an alt art, very nice, that we can put in our binder, have it be a little bit of shiny bait for someone. Surely someone wants this. But yeah, my trade binder has been like completely cleared out ever since we like started opening OP9, because a lot of the other stuff in there has just been like, yeah, we'll just throw that in as like to make up value. So yeah, not a whole lot of pretty shiny in there at the moment. So that Newgate is going to be filling it up. Kabaji, Rosinante, Thunderlance Flip Caliber Phoenix Shot. I am not going to miss this up anymore. Kuzan, and we have Lim. Okay, yeah, we're picking up at the end here. Lim's pretty cool. If we ever do decide to like off-meta Lim, then maybe. I think we have the other copy just sitting in our binder. We did trade off both alt arts that we pulled. So yeah, we could have had the whole playset, but another Lim, always fine. And for our last pack of the opening, we do not have a leader. We do have a leader, but not an alt-art leader. Alright, Empty Bluffs Island, Howling Geb, Gecko Moria, Tony Chopper, Bello Betty, Vasco Shock, Rockstar, Uses Captain Kid, Lime Juice, Luffy, very nice, Professor Clover, and we have Yasop to finish it out. So overall, pretty cool. We got the Newgate, which is obviously always awesome. That Frankie is a pretty relevant card. We got 2 cards for the Odyssey deck, and the pretty cool thing is we got some nice unique Dawn. I'm actually not too sure what Dawn I'm going to be going with going forward, if I'm just going to go like with the PRB Dawn, try and slot these in, or if I'll just go for like a whole set of one, but the fact that we've got some new shiny cool stuff is always pretty cool. And yeah, that'll do it for the opening. Let's get into the deck list. So you might have already caught it, but I made a little bit of an oopsie. I unintentionally mixed these 2 rewards for these 2 bounties up. So moving forward, I'm just going to swap these rewards and call it there. I do have some tricks up my sleeve on how we can complete that outstanding bounty for the Sakazuki Don. So hopefully it won't be an issue for much longer. But anyways, let's get into the deck list. Alright gamers, so we are back onto Smoker. We did take a little bit of a detour with the Black Starter Deck Luffy as well as the Black Starter Deck Sakazuki for our off-meta tournament, but we are finally back to our home field. Let's just get this out of the way. We did use the alt art upgrade on the Hina. I absolutely love that card, and I do want to introduce a few more copies, especially now that we're rounding out our playset of Brook. That being said, I would like to find a 4th Brook. I'm still deciding whether or not I want to split between Kobe and Brook as much. I think ideally I do want to have 4-2, but I think 3-2 is also good. So if we do find the 4th Brook, would probably go down on a Borsalino here, or maybe a Kuzan here. I'm actually just not as much of a fan of the Kuzan as I would like to be. Then again, it might just be because I'm not running into a whole lot of Blackbeard, but I definitely think that Hina is a really good card, especially in tandem with the Brook. So yeah, that's where we used our alt art upgrades. What else could we talk about this deck? We did get the Judge Stamp Kobe from one of our friends from a trade. I did throw that into the last episode, but it was not in the deck profile, so now it is properly in the deck profile and is going to be represented there. We're still on 2 Jack and 1 Kaido. I see a lot of lists starting to move off of Jack and more on the Kaido. I think that's going to be more coming up as we get into OP10, especially with Blackbeard being a whole lot more relevant with the 5-drop Kuzan card. But for now, I think that Jack still has a place in today's meta. Obviously, once we transition over to set 10, we're probably going to go up on this Kaido. So some Banlist fears that I've been hearing. Of course, Moria comes up in every Banlist conversation. Personally, I think that Moria is going to be safe since Bandai doesn't usually like to ban SRs since, you know, they're kind of like the chases of each set. So they don't want you to pull a card, an SR card, and it's like, oh, it's banned, so I can't throw this in the deck. But, you know, that was like one of my hits in the box. So I think Gecko Moria is going to be safe, and then looking at the rest of our list, I really don't think a whole lot of it is in danger. Perhaps the Ice Age is going to be in danger, but even if Ice Age does get hit, we can rely on stuff like the Navy HQ to provide even just constant cost minus. So even if Ice Age gets hit, I don't think it'll be the end of the world. Looking at the rest of this, again, nothing pops out. Maybe the Rebecca. I think Rebecca is really only a huge problem in tandem with Moria, but again, it's an SR, so it might not even be in the consideration for Bandai to be hitting it. I think Rebecca should be fine, Moria should be fine, Ice Age is a maybe, Brook is still good, so yeah, I don't anticipate being hit by the March ban list very hard. And then, of course, I did accidentally spoil it in the episode prior, but yeah, we did get some new sleeves for our Dawn, the Sabo sleeves. They made a little bit of an early appearance because I have bad management skills. And then in terms of the Dawn that we're running, you probably saw it a little bit throughout the episode, but we do run the 2 Blackbeard Dawn, the Dopey, the Buggy Dawn, the Ace Dawn, Sakazuki, and then some of the Dawn from the sets, and we do have the Crocodile Dawn here. I do want to get just like one aesthetic for all of our Dawn, so if we did like all black Dawn or all like purple, I know that purple comes up a lot in the PRB Dawn, so maybe we want to do like a black purplish kind of Dawn set, but still a work in progress. Maybe we'll come back to PRB to get some more Dawn cards, just to get a few more things in here. But yeah, this is going to be what we're running for our run today, and yeah, let's get into the games.
Time to play the game!
Round 1, and we are versus Red Purple Luffy, and it's been a very good while since I've last seen this leader, and it's gotten a whole lot of new tools, so I'm pretty excited to see what it can do now. It's not as popular as its mono purple counterpart, but I think that the access to red does give it a whole lot of new tools that are really good for it, especially this Nami searcher here, being able to search all of your Straw Hats. But the downside to that, of course, versus Smoker specifically, means that I can just attach one Dawn to my leader and always have something to target on my opponent's side of the field to give -1 to push it down to a 0 to gain another 1,000 attack, which is going to be super important in this matchup, especially considering that Luffy is sitting at a 6,000 power mark instead of the typical 5,000. Something I wasn't really sure on was how much I should be hounding after that Zoro Juro, especially in the early game. I could have used the Ice Age into Brook to KO the Zoro Juro very early, and honestly I think I could have done that, or should have done that, just to be able to remove a lot of the aggression, a lot of the ramp that my opponent's going to produce. But the turn after, I do choose to go after that Bond Clay, which honestly, in hindsight, I don't think I really needed to do, especially because I didn't have a whole lot of top end in my hand. I was really struggling to find Moria, so that Bond Clay, it really wasn't going to be doing a whole lot, especially later into the game. Like, the biggest thing it could have copied was probably the Suru, or not the Suru, the Dashigi. So that's definitely something to keep in mind, just how much my opponent can ramp and how I can try and prevent that as best as I can. And on my opponent's turn, he is going to drop the 7 cost Eustace Captain Kidd. He's going to be able to Dawn -1 to give our opponent's leader plus 1k power for the duration of my turn. So that's going to be really strong, but I am just going to use my leader effect, swing a 7 into it, try and get a little bit of counter, which we do. And then I am going to 9 cost Kaido to be able to remove it so it doesn't get that effect the next turn. And I feel like if I can just stabilize from that, I'll be in a pretty good position, but he does drop a second one. That really hurts because I do not have a second 9 cost Kaido to be able to play. I don't even have one in the deck, and I'm, again, not just finding any of my Moria, so I can't get any sort of advantage from that. I'm going to try and just deal with it as best as I can with whatever utility I have in my hand currently. So looking at the board state, our opponent does have a huge body that is able to give our leader, or opponent's leader, an extra 1k power. So my thought is I just need to establish some sort of defense, try and whittle down his life a little bit. And so I am going to play this Borsalino, and he does play the Utsuhachi in return just to be able to rest our only blocker, so he is going to be able to go in for game pretty safely, pretty easily, and that is GG. Round 2, and we are versus Mono Purple Luffy, Speak of the Devil. We have faced against this leader once before, so we kind of have a good idea of how to tackle this matchup, especially if they do see the Bond Clay. So we are just going to try and use that knowledge to the best of our ability here. So another note about going into Straw Hat Purple is that you want to be swinging 2 over if they have 1 Dawn up instead of just matching. I know in the last episode I said just swing 7s into 7 to try and demand 1k counter at a time, and I guess that is still kind of valid, but if you're trying to put pressure onto bodies, it's definitely 2k over, and the reasoning for that is because you're either demanding the event, which is 4k counter, or you're demanding 2 cards in hand, so either way, it's not going to feel as good for the purple Luffy. And our opponent, pretty early on, is going to be producing a whole lot of board presence, which is actually going to be very scary. That Luffy Taro into that Zoro does feel kind of bad, but we are able to remove one of his bodies, being the Zoro. And on our opponent's turn, he is going to swing out with that Luffy Taro, and then attach 2 Dawn Swing with his lead, then play another Luffy Taro into a Sangoro, and that Sangoro is going to be a pretty big target to get off the field since it does allow him to draw. I did start by swinging 5 into lead to try and demand a little bit of a counter, and then swing 7 into Luffy Taro, hoping that it's going to be going down a little bit easier, but he did give me another counter for that, so it is going to stick, but we are going to Rebecca Hina into Brook to be able to get down that Sangoro, so he is definitely off the board. We don't have to worry about any additional card draw for our opponent. And our opponent is going to be putting a whole lot of pressure on my life, basically saying, hey, I've got a whole lot of these big bodies and you're not going to be able to clear all of them with your cost-based reduction, so if you're not establishing a whole lot of blockers, and even if you just establish one and I have Usohachi, I'm just going to go after your life and try and clear you out next turn. So I really have to be able to clear some of his bodies or establish a really solid enough defense. But little does he know that I actually have a whole lot of counter in hand, so I'm actually not too scared of seeing a whole lot of these big bodies. I am a little bit scared just in case, you know, some of the math just doesn't work out in my favor, but I am going to be feeling pretty kind of decent right now. Once the turn passes back, he's going to start his assault. I am going to counter out of that first leader swing and then counter out of the second swing, and honestly I probably should have just taken this next swing, but I do give the Rebecca here just to have it in trash, and just in case I was like super tweaking that I might not take it here, but I am going to start an assault of my own, swinging 7s, again 2k over what we're trying to go for, just to try and bait out that event. We're going to swing 7, 7, 7, just spam the 7s until we do see the giant come out. He is going to drop, but we're just going to attach the rest of the Dawn, swing in, that is GG. Coming into round 3, we are versus Buggy, and we really have to lock in here because we do have a bounty that requires us to defeat one of each of the Emperors of the Sea. So I think he is one of the only Buggy players at our shop, and hopefully Buggy does pick up a little bit of steam after that pre-release, because the pre-release promo is going to be that Buggy that locks down 3 costs and 4 costs. So just in case you haven't seen this Buggy leader before, let's flash it on the screen. He's got an activate main. You may rest 5 of your Dawn cards, trash 1 card from your hand, play 1 cross-guild type character from your hand. So an important thing to note about this leader is that the activate main is actually not once per turn. If it was once per turn, then it would have had the little marker like our smoker leader does, so technically on your 10 Dawn turn you can use this twice and get out some bigger bodies. Also, one more thing to note is that there's no cost limit on what you can bring out of this effect, so as long as it's a cross guild you can play it. So on your 10 Dawn turn you can play 2 10 cost Buggies, being able to put 2 of your opponent's characters onto the bottom of the deck, which is going to be super strong if you can pull it off. And of course, since you are trashing cards from the leader effect, you are going to need to cycle a good bit, so that he runs a lot of like the Sanji's peel off. This stage lets him bottom deck 2 cards and then draw 2 cards, so that's going to be just cycling through your deck, trying to find as much as you can. He does activate the peel off right here. Outside of that pudding ripping a few cards out of my hand, I'm not seeing a whole lot of aggression from our opponent, so I think this is going to be a good time to just recur some of the resources that we lost. So we are going to Kuzan into Brand New. Brand New is going to grab that Dashigi, and of course the Kuzan is going to let us draw a card. Our opponent is going to be swinging to a lot of our smaller bodies a lot more frequently, which I don't really agree with, especially because I'm getting to the later Dawn turns. I guess there's no way to really know if I've got Morias in hand, but honestly I love to see stuff like that go into trash, because that means I can just pull it off again with Moria. So those Brand News are going to be coming back out onto the field, and he does block the pudding swing here with the Doflamingo, and I kind of disagree with that since they are the same stat line, except Doflamingo is tagged blocker. I think I would have just let the pudding go just in case that blocker does come up later. And our opponent is going to be dropping that 10 cost Kaido, being able to draw 4 cards. That is going to really help with his leader effect, especially if he can stabilize after this, but I am going to be putting a whole lot of pressure on, and he is just going to meet that pressure with a whole lot of counters, so he just gave me 3 cards for one of my swings. Obviously without a Kuzan on board or an Ice Age in hand, it's going to be really tough to take down that Kaido, and I actually think I did have it at some point, but I forgot that Tashigi only minuses 4, so the Ice Age into Tashigi unfortunately is not going to be clearing that 10 cost Kaido. So huge misplay there. I did lose a lot of tempo, but at least I was still able to pick off the pudding. And our opponent is going to block her up with that first Mihawk. I almost called it Crocodile there, whoa. And then he is going to put a little bit of pressure on with that Kaido, but I am going to protect my Moria with the Rebecca, and he does play the second Mihawk. So he's got 2 blockers, he's got 0 life, but you know, still 2 pretty beefy blockers that could make it back to his turn if he does choose to block and then counter out with them. But he is going to counter out of the first swing. I'm going to swing with my Mori, he's going to give me one of the blockers, and then I am going to activate Leader Effect because he still has that Galdino on the board to be able to give me an extra 1k, and he's going to counter out of that. I'm going to swing another 7, he's going to give me the Mihawk, and then I am going to Gecko Moria again. So 3 Gecko Morias on the board is going to be a whole lot of pressure from our opponent, that our opponent is going to see on our side of the field. And from here, I feel like I'm pretty much in the pilot seat. Even if he does double 10 cost Buggy from the Leader Effect and bounce 2 of my Morias, I'll still have the 3rd Moria, especially because I have the Rebecca. So even if he swings in with the Kaido, I can just protect it with the Rebecca. And then when it comes back to my turn, I don't have any life to go through, so I'll just big swing. So I think he recognizes that and does double Mihawk again. So he's seen all 4 of his Mihawks, which is honestly crazy, but I am just going to start my assault here, ending it with Rebecca for the bounty, and that is going to be GG's. Coming into round 4, we are going to be versus Shanks, and this is a leader that we've seen a few times on the channel already, but honestly I'm still kind of iffy and I really don't know how to approach this matchup. So some of the deck building ideas that some of my friends have told me were like Stussy, just to be able to remove some of their top end, and honestly a lot of their top end just really hurts our board in general, especially the opponent's Rayleigh being able to lower some of our taller bodies and then being able to KO our Rebecca turn after turn. That really hurts, and then our opponent's Shanks is going to be just lowering all of our bodies. I'm going to try a new approach here, just completely different approach. I am going to be removing blockers, and then I'm just going to go super aggro. I'm just going to try and out aggro the aggro deck. Honestly, it's less of an aggro deck, more of kind of just mid-range, but I am just going to try and put a whole lot of pressure in with my swing. So every turn, I'm going to be swinging with this Borsalino. I feel like it's just going to be providing a whole lot of more value as a 5k body rather than a 6k blocker right now. And coming back to my turn, I am going to 1-Don on my leader, activate Leader Effect because he does have a 1-cost Uta on the board, and I am going to Rebecca into Hina, into Kobe to remove any of the blockers that he puts out. So that's going to be the Silver's Rayleigh down because I really want these attacks to be connecting. So I'm going to swing 7, he's going to Leader Effect and then give me Rad Beam, which is pretty odd. I am going to continue my assault just by swinging in with all of my bodies. He's going to give me a whole lot of counter, but yeah, let's revisit that Rad Beam. Typically, if you are playing Rad Beam, you want to be holding that until you're at 2 or less life, just so you can 1-Don for 4k worth of value of counter. So I think activating it there early was a little bit of a misplay, but honestly, I think that if you really, really needed to, it's not the worst. 8-cost Rayleigh is going to be knocking out my Rebecca, but that doesn't really matter. I'm just going to be swinging out with the rest of my board. I am going to be committing every swing that I can, even if the Rayleigh is going to be lowering the attack power of some of my bodies. Again, I just want to try some new approach, just try and see what are the different ways I can approach this matchup, and he is going to be starting to clear all of my bodies with a lot of his bigger bodies. And there's not a whole lot I can do to retaliate. I am going to protect my Kobe from this one swing from the Leader Effect because I do know that I wanted just to be able to put a little bit more pressure onto our opponent's life here. I am going to huge swing into my opponent for that last life, and honestly, if he does put down a blocker, I am pretty confident that I still got it. I think you do see in my hand that I do have the Brook and Ice Age, so even if he does put down a little bit smaller blocker, I will be able to clear, but he does go for Rush, and unfortunately, I do have enough counter to get at least one of those attacks countered out of, so I am going to be making it back to my turn, and once it makes it back to me, it's just going to be one huge swing, and that's going to be GG's. So we ended the day at 3-1, pushing our overall record to 45-24, and I'm making a whole lot of progress on some of the more unique bounties, which I'm really proud about. And speaking of bounties, we do have some new bounties coming up on episode 20, and we haven't had a whole lot of suggestions for new bounties, so what I want you to do right now is just leave your wackiest ideas for some new bounties, and hopefully you'll see it come up on episode 20 when we release some new bounties. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the content, drop a like and sub to the channel. The more subscribers we get, the closer we inch to the big sub bounty. And speaking of bounties, don't forget to leave a comment suggesting your new bounty. New waves of bounties drop every 5 episodes. And while you're down there, let me know your thoughts on today's episode. Until next time, drink your water, pass out love, hugs, kisses. Mwah.